Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at NECA's Dungeons & Dragons STRONGHEART Ultimate Action Figure. And I don't know anything about Dungeons & Dragons, really. I mean, just the most basic. I've never played, never been interested at all. Just know like the tiniest little bit from passing here and there. But this figure looked freaking cool, so I wanted to review it. I asked if they had a review sample. They did. They sent it, so now I have it. I was going to buy it if they didn't. Don't tell them that. But it does look really cool, so I wanted to review it for you guys, because I know even if you're not into Dungeons & Dragons, you might want to add this to your shelf, especially if you're collecting Mythic Legions or something like that. So let's go ahead and get this guy off the stand and take a closer look. Okay, before we take a look at the figure, let's go ahead and take a look at my package. On the front, we get some nice, it looks like it's painted, it's probably digital, but still nice artwork there. It's very dark. I think it would have been nice to have a little bit of a pop of color or something, but it still looks good. I'm sure they're referencing some original packaging with things like this on there, but still looks really nice. Side artwork is less interesting, but it's there. Back shows you the figure and another figure you could get. I don't like the look of this guy personally, so I won't be reviewing him, but some more photos there. And then another photo here. You do get the flap and the window. Standard NECA fare, looks decent, and you'll be able to see the figure. So if you like packaging, not a bad one. Alrighty, this guy, he stands, we'll just do the top of his helmet, not the floof, about 7.5, just shy of that. And that's gonna make it roughly, let's just call it 19 centimeters. Here he is up against a Marvel Legends, happens to be Darwin, and there you go, totally different scale. Alright, so this guy, very, very cool looking figure, I think, and if you think knights look cool, then it looks pretty cool. I'm going to start with the one thing I don't like about it first, okay? There's really only one thing that stands out to me, and that's I think the shoulders should be a little broader and a little higher. Just a little bit, because we have this armor here and this armor here, so his shoulders are somewhere around here, and his head's all the way up here, so it looks a little bit off if you were to actually figure out where the human is inside there. His head seems a little bit high, and maybe even a little bit big, I would say. Definitely a little bit big, so don't like that, and I don't like the face inside. Maybe that's what he's supposed to look like. I have no idea. I don't know. Weren't they? Maybe they were drawn. I thought they were always just like text descriptions of things. But either way, it's well done. If it's accurate, I have no idea. But the sculpt is nice. Paint is really nice. But for me personally, it's cool that the helmet opens and closes. But I am definitely more interested in being generic knight in blue and silver guy. So I'm gonna close it. But other than those two things, basically just the head being big and high, or the shoulders being small and low, it's still a really cool looking figure. They have different silvers on here. There's a lot of dry brushing to bring out the chainmail here. Very nice with the gunmetal and then the lighter silver. And then we have the blues, a couple different blues, and more detailed paintwork on there with washes and more bright silver, bright blue. It's just, there's so much going on here. And this is under 40 bucks, by the way. It's just a touch more expensive than like that Gamer vs. Spider-Man from Marvel Legends. And that is absolutely insane to me that people will try to justify stuff like that when you can get stuff like this. 100% pure brand new sculpt, loaded with sculpted detail, loaded with paint. The stuff Hasbro says just isn't freaking true at this point. It's obvious. It's not true that they can't do better. The cape, soft goods with a wire. I mean, I don't care about soft goods either way, but my point is, you can do so much if you're willing to as a company. Whatever they used for the material is really cool. It's not some kind of weird lens effect. It has some kind of little bit of a texture to it. And that's nice. It adds a nice look to the figure. Same on front and back. The wire is very, very thin, so you're not going to do any too crazy, like really windswept poses, but you can adjust the way it hangs a little bit. But what a nice looking figure. Like, I'm not really into the whole medieval thing personally, but it just looked so good I had to. And it's not going to hurt me to have a knight in the collection, so what the heck. But damn, it looks good. NECA, when they do a really good job, they are untouchable in terms of the aesthetics from a domestic company. It's not even close. This guy gets a 9.9 out of 10. It's so good for what you're paying. Other than that one anatomy issue, because I don't even care about the face, thanks to the face mask. But if I could get the shoulders a little bit broader and bigger, which was true for that other guy too, the fire sword guy, whatever his name was, I would say 10 out of 10 for the aesthetic, but it's still wonderful. And most people won't even notice that, and I probably won't even think of it once I pose him. So really, really cool looking figure. So much going on here. Man, it's good looking. Plus it's silver and blue, and that's like my favorite combo, but whatever, it looks good. As far as accessories go, he has 2 fist hands on him in the package, then you get some gripping hands and some other style pose hands and options there. Nothing with a vertical hinge, so that kind of sucks for holding the sword and the hammer. Speaking of which, you get a sword, you get a sheath for the sword. On the sheath for the sword, there is a sheath for the dagger, so you get all of that, and then you also get the hammer, which is very nicely done. And lastly, you get his shield. It's really meant for his left arm, which makes sense because the sword is on the left side, so he'd be drawing with his right hand. So that is a pretty good attention to detail there. Everything looks wonderful. I'm very, very pleased with that. It is difficult, be aware, difficult to sheathe and unsheathe the sword and dagger, and they are very thin plastic, so be careful, but it does work. And so as far as accessories go, 9 out of 10. I would like the wrists to have vertical hinges for holding the sword and hammer, but still really, really good. All right, now let's see, can the articulation hold up, or is it just gonna be a posable statue? Which I wouldn't mind necessarily, but it would be better if it can pose. So let's see. These, I'm guessing, will potentially break if you're not careful. Not anywhere near as fragile as Fire Sword. What was that guy's name? Doom War Master Slayer Fire Sword guy? I don't remember, but he had brittle earpieces on his helmet. This guy, they feel a little bit more sturdy. He has very little range side to side because of the helmet, but going forward and back has actually surprisingly good range. That's nice. And of course it rotates. So it'll probably be good enough. I mean, it is a guy in armor. Could be a little bit better, but it's all right. For the shoulder, this piece is technically soft plastic, but it's connected almost everywhere, so it's not moving. This guy, soft plastic, not connected as much. So let's see what we can do with the shoulder. Oh, well, okay. That's pretty good. Goes up better than horizontal. I'll take it. And then as far as rotating the arm forward, it'll just move out of the way. It's not the best looking thing, but it's certainly not terrible. And you don't have too much of an option with this piece here, so I'll take it. Shoulder works just fine if you ask me. You do get a bicep swivel. That one feels a little bit stuck. Let's see if this one will work. That one's working. So you get a bicep swivel up there and down here in the single jointed elbow. That'll be really good for helping him pose with his weapons. Slightly better than 90-degree bend in the elbow. And then of course, like I said, you get that other swivel. So you can swivel this as much as you can, and then you can also rotate it at the elbow. And you probably can get the hands together to hold the sword, but it's not a two-handed sword really, is it? No. It's not, so you don't need to do that. So it's nice that it's there, but you don't even need it, so that's cool. Okay, for the torso, we have at least a single ball peg behind this joint here. I can't say for sure what's in there, but it leans back that far on that joint. Not the best looking thing in the world. It leans a little bit forward, not too much. Side to side is decent though, and you get some rotation. So be aware, these guys are back here. They're flexible, but they're not real chain, so you could potentially tear them. So that upper joint is somewhat limited, but it's there and it'll help in posing, but it doesn't look great. Then you get what seems to be just a ball peg at the lower joint also. So his torso does move. It's not gonna move a ton, but I think it'll move enough for a guy in knight's armor. Okay, all right, this is a soft piece. These are soft pieces. I don't like that the belt on mine at least is tucked under the crotch piece. I can't seem to get them out, get them separate from each other. So I don't know how they're actually connected. It almost seems like, yeah, they should be able to move. I don't know, you might have to mess with that. Let me know if you got this guy, if his belt is tucked in for you, because I hate that his belt buckle is tucked in. But anyway, we have some flaps here, so let's see how the hips work. They are just standard old school ball sockets, ball pegs. So we can bring the leg pretty far forward. It takes some force and it's kind of flexing everything, but it works. For a knight, I think that's okay. They weren't known for their agility. It does go back pretty far, so that's good. Then out to the side, almost full on splits. Not too bad, I'll take it. Thigh swivel is in there. It goes out more than it goes in, but that's good, that's what's helpful. Double jointed knee. This is a very complex knee, technically speaking. We have the hinges, it'll swivel at both ends also, so you're gonna have to kind of mess with it to get everything to line up the way you want it to, potentially. But you should get decent range. You do. It's not the best looking type of knee joint, but this guy's got a big knee pad on, so you can't really tell too much. Not great, you end up with like an extra long bone in there, but at least on this one it's hidden. I personally don't like this style of joint. You don't need the swivels, so it gets cumbersome and ugly and it's overly complex. Luckily, this hides it some, so I don't like it, but it's acceptable, it's tolerable, I guess. Then for the ankles, you get true ball hinges, so they go pretty far back, pretty far forward, and you get your ankle rocker, which is nice. And another example of the nice wash on there to make this thing come to life. So articulation, surprisingly good. Not great, but good enough. I will definitely take it. This knee looks weird right now. It kind of sticks out up here. I'm gonna have to do some twisting and rotating and bending to get it to look like this knee, which is another problem. With these swivels at the top and bottom, you end up with weird looking problems. They're not real problems. You can fix them, so it's whatever. But articulation on this guy's not bad. I'll give it a 7. It's limited, but I think for a guy in armor, it's not too bad at all. So that's pretty cool. All right, so final verdict on this guy. It looks freaking cool, and it's not perfect, but it's really good, and the articulation's acceptable. Accessories are really good. I'm very pleased with this as generic knight guy. I don't care at all about Dungeons and Dragons. You guys can let me know. Question of the day. Do you guys care about Dungeons and Dragons, or are you just buying this because it looks cool? I can't speak anymore if you guys noticed that. I'm not getting enough sleep. But anyway, there it is. I'm going to give it a final rating of 9 out of 10. Awesome, awesome figure for a very reasonable price point, and it's going to look freaking good on the shelf. You put this next to anything Hasbro has released, and it's going to look like it's worth many multiples. So that's not what it should be. Hasbro should be doing much better, and I only use them as a comparison because they're the biggest toy company in the world and they put out the most product, and it's a reasonable comparison to make. Alright, so there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about the figure in the comment section below. Let me know what you thought about the video by giving it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and if you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have new videos almost every single day and thousands already on the channel, so make sure you come back for all of that, and in the meantime, keep collecting.